Christina, we'll give you the floor. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. And I hope that I can see my presentation. It is a pleasure to be here on this table. Thank you very much for having invited me. If we think about the progress made in telecare, let's see if I manage to get to the next slide. As it has been explained by the previous speakers, we have gone from the fixed telecare or home telecare to the mobile telecare to the telecare with added services such as warnings if there's a fall, control of the presence, video conference, location, evaluation of different lifestyles so that there is a warning when there is a change in the lifestyle. Another important change is that we have moved forward in the telecare with services for people with disabilities, any types of disabilities, such as for people that use sign language and cannot use the telecare service as it had been designed at the beginning, and there needs for the service to be adapted, or also adaptation of the telecare for people with mental disabilities and that need pictures, they need shorter sentences, other services that when telecare started had not been taken into consideration and are increasingly being demanded. And then in the end we find this telecare linked to this telehealthcare or telemedicine that's integrated in this emergency service. But I would also like to talk to you about the legislation advances, and as you probably imagine, as a representative of the administration, I have to mention this law because this is a law that is criticized in the media, but which really it is a law that provides many good things. And this is the law of the promotion of personal autonomy and the care of people in situation of dependency. Has an objective that maybe we all forgot to read. We have read about the news, so many people that are not receiving this aid, etc., all this very negative news, but maybe we should go back to reading about the objective of this law. And if you allow me, I'm going to read it because I think it's very important. The objective of this law is to meet the needs of people that, because they are in a situation of special vulnerability, need support in order to carry out the basic daily activities, in order to have greater autonomy, and in order to be able to exercise the right to citizenship. I am sure that everyone here would actually sign for this, for sure. Within this law, and as it was in the previous roundtable, this was mentioned, and I was talking to one of the colleagues who was talking about this catalogue of services. Well, within the catalogue of services, there are different services. The first of them is the prevention service for the prevention of dependency situations and promotion of personal autonomy. The second one is the one that appears here, which is the telecare service. The third one is the service of home assistance, okay? And the fourth is service of day center or night center, and finally the service for home care in an elderly home, etc. And it says that the telecare services fosters or improves the existence of the beneficiary by using the technologies of information and communication with the necessary support means in order to respond immediately to situations of emergency or insecurity or solitude or isolation. And this could be an independent service, or it could be complementary to the home assistance. And it also says that this service will be provided to anyone that does not receive, does not live in homes, in residential homes, and to other people that is established by the VIA program, which is a program that establishes the degrees of dependency. And so the fact that the telecare service is included in a law that is so broad, and that, as I said before, focus on helping people, I think that every now and again we should go back and read the spirit of this law and make sure that that we disseminate the positive effects and not just the negative effects. And this is something that I have to mention, the importance of the spirit of this law. In this sense, THEAPAD finds it peculiar because the date for the beginning of this telecare fix or home telecare, this home telecare started in 89. And it was actually in 1989 when THEAPAD started to work. And in fact, as Carlos knows, as many of you know, we have lived through the whole process of telecare. We've grown up together, we could say. And therefore, I think that we have much to say about this. And from this, we moved on to the mobile telecare. And in the future, we will have to have social and healthcare coordination. And I wanted to show you a table which I've always liked, which is of course not mine, that has been adapted by, and it was the authors were Doughty and collaborators. And in this table we talked about the first generation telecare, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, just like there are first generation mobiles or first generation technologies. And I'm not going to go much into it, but the main change, if we look at the first line, it says activation by the user, and the last line says greater prevention, mood detectors, leisure and virtual rehabilitation, and intelligent homes. And so what I want to say is that in this process we have gone from a system in which a user had to trigger an effect by pushing a button, or to a system which is much more intelligent, also much more complicated from a technological point of view, in which we are able to detect, or we are starting to be able to detect, moods, so that alarms are triggered and that there is ways of supporting these people if there's a risk of depression or any other problem. And in this sense, I think that this evolution has been really interesting, and that is not very different from other technological evolutions. And as I said, together with many companies and with many other players, we have participated in all this progress.